What is your guess on the defensive line? Because the other story that came out this weekend was that Samson Ebukam could be in line for a huge payday. He was a 4th-round pick back in the day. The Niners signed him as a free agent. I thought they were maybe overpaying him. Then he came out last year and had a tremendous year. Supposedly somebody's willing to pay him, according to Jeremy Fowler, over $10 million a year. Sounds like
Yeah.
Ebukam's going to bounce, huh? I
If
mean,
if
they're
it's
not going
10
to be able to sign him.
million, yeah, if it's 10 million, I don't see him coming back at all. And that's where free agency becomes interesting. You talk about John Lynch talking up guys. He talked up Drake Jackson, and I think that the long term plan is for Jackson to be that bookend to Nick Bosa. But I don't think you can rely on that going into year 2, especially how year 1 ended. So they do need to bolster defensive end. I think that to me, and when we do our builder roster later in the week, you'll see it. But that's where I would spend money, and it doesn't have to be gigantic sums. But I think you can get Jadeveon Clowney for a. It's going to be a 1-year deal, but it's a reasonable amount. You've got a guy, if he's playing at Jadeveon Clowney's peak level, and you've got Nick Bosa on the other side, that is a disaster for opposing teams. And if it's not Clowney, then maybe Ngakoue, just out of central casting for what this team wants with its speed rusher. You're really good at getting around the edge. Is he good at lots of other things? No, but you don't have to play him every snap. You play him on choice snaps, the way that you used to do D Ford. But that's where I would spend the money. Maybe it's Melvin Ingram or somebody like that. Somebody that you're gonna have to cap their snaps, but you know that the snaps that this guy does get are going to be quality snaps. So I think that there are some interesting names at defensive end, and that's where if I were John Lynch and the 49ers, that's where I would probably spend the most money this offseason is finding a pass rush bookend who can pair with Drake Jackson and who goes opposite Nick Bosa on consequential plays.
I think it's a great draft for edge rushers. I mean, there's some terrific ones. I mean, I love Will McDonald from Iowa State. I love the De La Salle kid, Isaiah Foskey from Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Zach Harrison from Ohio State. Derek Hall from Auburn. I
Derek
love all
Hall
these
could
guys.
be
Byron Young from
available there.
Tennessee.
Yeah.
Even further down the list, Jose Ramirez from Eastern Michigan you have to see that guy. That guy might be my premier draft crush. Dave Lombardi threw out Thomas Incoom from Central Michigan as an interesting name. So there's Ali Gay, Tyus Wheat out of the SEC, both of Cade Hall, whose daddy was Rhett Hall, played for the Niners, who played at San Jose State. He's a pretty good edge rusher. And there's more than that. I mean, there's all kinds of guys. Brevin Allen is a small school guy from Campbell who you got to see, 6'4", 260, comes flying off the edge. And there's more. I mean, it's a really good draft for defensive ends. Who is if you could retain one of their current guys on the front, and there's 7 free agents on the D-line. Here they are: Ebukam, Amenahue, Ridgeway, Jordan Willis, Kerry Hyder, T.Y. McGill, and Mo Hurst. 7 free agents. And the only guys they have signed up are Bosa, Armstead, Kinlaw, Givens, Drake Jackson, and Kalia Davis, who didn't even play a snap.
Givens
of
is
their 7 free agents, who's the guy you want back?
Well,
who's the guy they want back, if you're guessing?
First, Givens is a restricted free agent, so he's probably coming back, but it's gonna cost them some money, perhaps.
And he's good.
But of that list, I'd want Amenahue back, but the asterisk there is that Amenahue's he could cost almost as much as Ebukam on the free agent market. I forget what Arden Key's number was last year, but it was high. It's like $6 or $7 million. So of that group, I would bring back Ridgeway because
really, that's interesting. He's a Bay Area kid. I didn't realize that, Matty. He's from the Bay.
He's a big guy and he's a run stuffer, and he would have done a better job than Javon Kinlaw in that championship game, no doubt about it.
No doubt.
he'd be going against his old team. He would have really relished that. That's neither here nor there, but I think that would be a good. Let's say you bring in Ioannidis and Ridgway. Neither of those guys is going to break the bank, and so you've sort of bolstered a little bit that inside. So you've got Givens, Ioannidis, Ridgway, and Kinlaw as your kind of key guys on the inside, and then you use a draft pick on one of these guys that we've been discussing. So I think that would be a way to really kind of take care of some holes in the offensive line. Ridgway was playing well when he got hurt last year. Remember, Ridgway was a guy that made that hit against the Saints on the goal line that kind of popped that ball in the air, and they got that fumble recovery at a key period. I mean, that game was going in a different direction when that play happened. So it was a nice hustle play. I just liked him. I thought he was a really nice fit in the locker room, and a nice fit schematically. He's not going to get 10 sacks. He's not going to get 2 sacks in a year, but he is going to take on double teams and make sure that you don't get pushed around on the inside.
Got to have somebody on that front that can lock it down as a 2-gapper and absorb blocks, especially if you got the Marcelino McCrary Ball type linebackers where they're undersized guys that need to be kept free to run and hit. It only works if you can keep them free to run and hit, and that means you got to have somebody up front to absorb those blocks. It's funny, the chat's kind of torn on Amenahue. Forktail says, can we keep Amenahue? Think he might be better in the second season. And then we got guys in here. Hey, 420 Savage, Amenahue, who was a distraction last year. I thought I talked to Charles, and he was like, hey, at when I got here, I was 273, 275 in that range. They got me down to 260, 262, something like that. I thought the difference was startling. His speed this year was dramatically improved. He did have a late in the year off the field issue, Maddie. Is that cleared up at all? Do we know anything at all about Amenahue's off-field thing? I mean, when somebody's saying he was a distraction, I totally disagree that he was a distraction in the room, but maybe you could argue that arrest at the very end of the year could have been, a distraction. I guess maybe that's what he's pointing to. What are you hearing on that front? Anything at all?
No, I mean, it hasn't been resolved. I mean, it's still being looked at by the district attorney's office. So we don't have any resolution there. I don't think that would prevent the 49ers from resigning. I mean, I think it would if it turned out to be something big. But I think it's the price tag that is going to be most problematic in terms of resigning him.
A couple last ones before we let you go. 2 edge rushers that I really like. One that Kyle Posey threw out on Niners Nation, Zach Allen from the Cardinals.
Well, he's also a guy that kind of slides inside too. So you get a lot of bang for your buck with him.
Yeah, and he's really young. He's 26. He's got a crazy motor that's always revving high. It seems like he plays his best ball against the Niners. It would almost be like a double win to get him on your side. And then the other guy that I really like, and he's not a free agent, and today he's not even available, but there's a lot of speculation that the Rams, with a lot of cap problems, are going to cut loose Leonard Floyd, and that they may want to trade him. Heck, I might even consider trading for him if I could get him at a cheap enough price tag in a trade. But what do you think of those two guys? Leonard Floyd is just a crazy edge rush speed-wise guy. I mean, they haven't had this kind of talent, speed off the edge opposite Bosa really since D Ford. He might even be a little faster than D Ford. And then Allen is as you said, versatile and productive.
Yeah, I like both of those guys a lot because I think you'd get a lot of bang for your buck out of Zach Allen. He's like Eric Armstead. He could be a base defensive end and somebody who slides inside at defensive tackle. And I agree. The other guy is basically a better version of Samson Ebukam. So a really nice fit there. Both are going to cost a little bit of money. So that's the question is how much money the 49ers are going to spend. I do think that they'll spend money on one position. I don't think it'll be quite as much as they spent on Charvarius Ward. And my guess is that position is going to be defensive end. So there are a lot of options out there, and it just depends on what one combination floats their boat.